Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of JAZZIZ Essentials. This is a series where we take a look at songs, artists, and events that gave rise to the music we know and love, jazz. I'm Matt McCucci, online editor of JAZZIZ, and on this episode, we're going to be taking a look at 5 great jazz artists whose 100th anniversary we celebrate in 2020. In other words, these are 5 great artists who were born in 1920. Before we begin, I feel like I should say this is obviously an incomplete video in the sense that, quite frankly, it would have taken far too long to mention every name of every great jazz artist who happened to be born in 1920 and who left an indelible mark in the evolution and history of jazz music. You know, these videos are more to encourage people to deepen their interest in jazz history. But having said all of that, if you do have any suggestions for names that you feel should have been included in the video, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. And if I get enough suggestions, I would definitely consider making a second video on this very same topic. But for now, without further ado, here are 5 great jazz artists whose 100th anniversary we celebrate in 2020. Carmen McRae. Carmen McRae is regarded as one of the greatest jazz vocalists of the 20th century. She started out as a piano player at such venues as Minton's Playhouse, before focusing on her work as a vocalist, partly informed by her admiration of Billie Holiday and her own natural talents. Known for her melodic variations and her amazing ability to project the emotional connotations of a song, McRae is also a celebrated innovator of scat singing. Peggy Lee. Singer-songwriter Peggy Lee was a symbol of sophistication of her time and a pioneer of the cool jazz vocal style, as well as a beloved Oscar-nominated actress of the big screen. She started out with Benny Goodman in the 40s before becoming a star in her own right. Aside from her vocal stylings, Lee was not afraid to push herself out of the comfort zone and break new grounds, including releasing a string of rock-oriented records in the 1960s. Charlie Parker. Simply put, Charlie Parker was one of the revolutionary geniuses in jazz who left an indelible mark in the history of the progression of the music. Parker was a master of improvisation and one of the prime innovators of bop. However, this seemed a collateral effect of his genuine desire for artistic self-expression. As troubled as his life may have been, the man, also known affectionately as Bird, always seemed completely in charge of his saxophone, and his influence is still felt strongly to this day. Yusef Lateef. Yusef Lateef was a visionary artist. He started in lyrical bop before developing his own style, fusing the jazz tradition with classical and folk musics of Africa and Asia. Equally as praiseworthy were his ambitious original works with exotic scales and rhythms of the 60s and his large-scale works for orchestras. While he is known primarily as a saxophonist, Lateef could play several other instruments and played no less than 14 on his Grammy-winning 1987 album, Yusef Lateef's Little Symphony. Dave Brubeck. One of the foremost exponents of cool jazz and the West Coast movement, pianist, composer, bandleader Dave Brubeck was known for bringing elements of classical music into jazz and for his experimentation with unusual time signatures as well as superimposing contrasting rhythms, meters, and tonalities. He was also hugely popular, and his 1959 album Time Out with the Dave Brubeck Quartet remains one of the most successful jazz albums in history. Once again, I remind you that if you have any suggestions for other names of other great artists whose 100th anniversary we celebrate this year, to leave them in the comment section below, and I may make a second video based on those suggestions at a later date. But for now, if you did like this video, I encourage you to please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I also urge you to check out JAZZIZ.com, a regularly updated website with lots of great content for the jazz aficionados and the jazz newbies who would just like to get into jazz. And finally, I urge you to join me next week once again as we continue to explore stories about songs, artists, and events that gave rise to the music we know and love, jazz. But till the next time, stay healthy, stay safe, stay strong.